Radio broadcasts have a few similarities to television or internet broadcasts.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Both video and radio have an audio component. Probably the most important thing you can do is ride gain. That means your meters should be peaking at 100%. That means that when the audio gets loud, it should never go above the set marker. This is radio station KSBJ, where I worked for 15 years. Notice the orange line in the middle. Your audio should come up and touch it, or kiss it, as radio people say occasionally.
89.3 KSBJ, the station bringing Phillips, Craig, and Dean to Houston. I'm Jim Becka. And if you've been laid off, you might listen tonight when...
But your audio should not go above it, or you will get bad distortion.
Looks like a pretty good chance of rain through Wednesday. High today of 97 and a low of 77. Right now in College Station, it's 96. And in Houston, it's 92.
There are two common radio frequencies: amplitude modulation, AM, and frequency modulation, FM. FM produces a good quality signal and is what's commonly called line-of-sight radio.
KSBJ.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to get
FM towers can be very tall, over 1,000 feet, because theoretically, if you can see the tower, you can hear its radio signal, though the tower may be 20 to 30 miles away. An AM signal bounces around and does not require high towers. Many AM antennas are actually buried in the ground, but the signal quality is not as good as FM. Both radio and television are regulated by the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC. The FCC is responsible for issuing radio and television frequencies. In theory, these frequencies are considered public property, though the FCC does not monitor radio and television as closely as it did when they first came into use. The FCC requires radio and television broadcasters to check tower lights, power output, frequency deviation so they don't interfere in someone else's signal, and maintain the time they check these in logs. A legal identification must be run each hour at the top of the broadcast. It must run as close to the top of the hour as possible and must include the station's call letters, the channel number, and the city of license. The legal ID for KSBJ would be KSBJ 89.3 Houston. That's in order to keep their license, they must broadcast this at the top of the hour. Since the deregulation of radio in the 1980s, most radio stations no longer hire news personnel, but every large radio market has at least one radio station devoted to news and talk. Radio can still be a powerful way of reaching the public, especially during morning and afternoon drive time. These are when you have the largest number of people in their cars driving to and from work. Keep in mind, the FCC regulates radio and television. Your main radio frequencies are AM and FM. Radio frequencies are considered public property. Riding gain means you're watching and controlling the strength of your signal so it does not overmodulate and distort. And keep in mind that radio reaches the largest number of listeners during drive time, when people are in their cars driving to and from work.